God is good.
All the time.
And all the time.
God is good.
Tell you what, my voice is a little better this morning. Not quite as bad as it was last week. But it's a wonderful day, the eve of the celebration of our Savior's birth. This is something that our whole life, we have, since we were kids, sat around my mom, and she's read out of the book of Luke, the Christmas story. And from that, when my mom was, trying to remember, I believe she was 18 years old, my dad was pastoring his first church, and she wrote a Christmas play out of the book of Luke and Matthew. And I think every one of us kids played every part. I think the only part I didn't play was Mary. I think it was just I don't know, a gender issue there. I couldn't play Mary, but I've done the wise men. I've done the shepherds. Most of the time I was a shepherd. I was at the hospital visiting one of my nephews. I brought a little vial of frankincense oil. You know, we put a drop of frankincense oil on when we pray. Not that the oil is going to make the prayers heard anymore. It's just the smell of this frankincense oil. It reminds the person as they smell it that they're being prayed for. Well, I had this little vial, and my older brother, we're all sitting around, and my sister said, "He brought frankincense." My brother says, "Yeah, let me see that." Took it from him, he was looking at it, opened it up, smelled of it. My sister says, "Have you ever seen frankincense?" He goes, "Man, I used to deliver this stuff." We all looked around like, "What?" Said, "Yeah, every year I deliver this to Jesus." He was a wise man most of the time. But I was going through this year, remembering the stories that my mother had told us, that had read, remembering the plays that we did. And this year, as this entire month proceeded, we talked about different characters in the birth of Christ. But this week, one character that everybody talks about, everybody sees, but no one ever thinks about really. Star of Bethlehem. The Star of Bethlehem, what is this? And because I've been told that I don't wait for anybody to turn their Bibles before I start reading, I didn't mark it. So, let's start in Micah, one of the minor prophets, a couple of chapters before the New Testament, a couple of books before the New Testament. Micah 5, and we're going to start in 1. Anybody beat me there? Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, you can beat me there with your telephone. Micah 5. Tell you what, I'll start in 2. It said, and this is Micah giving a prophecy. He said, "But you, Bethlehem, Ephrathah, though you are small among the clans of Judah, out of you will come one who will be ruler over Israel, whose origins from old, from ancient times. Therefore Israel will be abandoned until the time when she is in labor and gives birth. The rest of the brothers return to join the Israelites. He will stand and shepherd his flock in the strength of the Lord, in the majesty of the name of the Lord his God. and they will live securely for within his greatness. For within his greatness will reach the ends of the earth, and he will be their peace. Micah was talking about Christ. He's talking about the Messiah who's going to be coming. And he tells them, you're going to be in Bethlehem. Matthew 2, and come the wise men. And this, and honestly, I don't actually have to read. I got these memorized, but we're going to be in Matthew 2, and we're going to read 12 verses. Matthew 2. After Jesus was born in Bethlehem, in Judea, during the time of King Herod, Magi from the east came to Jerusalem and asked, "Where is this one who is born being King of the Jews? We saw a star in the east, and we've come to worship him." When Herod heard this, he was disturbed, and all of Jerusalem with him. When he had called together his people's chief priests and teachers of the law and asked them, "Where is the Christ to be born?" "In Bethlehem in Judea," they replied. "For this is what the prophet has written. But you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, you will by no means the least among the rulers of Judah. For out of you will come a ruler who will be shepherd of my people." Then Herod called the Magi secretly and found out from them the exact time the star had appeared. He sent them to Bethlehem and said, "Go and make a careful search for this child. As soon as you find him, report to me so that I too may go worship him." After they heard the king, they went on their way, and the star they had seen in the east went ahead of them until it stopped over the place where the child was to be born. When they saw the star, they were overjoyed. On coming to the house, they saw the child with his mother Mary, and they bowed down and worshipped him. They opened their treasures and presented him with gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Having been warned in a dream not to go back to Herod, they returned to their country by another route. Star guided them. Now, in my research, these wise men were astrologers from Persia. And I was reading this article about a man who was talking about the star. He said the non-believing world, the secular world, has been trying to show a scientific reason for the stars, show how it came to be, and it might have been Jupiter or one of the other planets that shone brightly. But here's the thing. They said they saw a star in the east, and it led them west. Makes sense. Because if you look up, the stars seem to travel east to west, right? Because of the rotation of the earth. Here's where they get tripped up. They went to Herod and said, "Where is he born, King of the Jews?" And he said, "Go to Bethlehem and find this baby." How did that star make a turn and go about 5 miles south? Stars go east to west, but they don't go south and north. That's where they can't explain. And this star rested right over the place where Jesus was at. So these men, they came and they worshiped him, and they came from Persia. How did Persians from Iraq know about a child that was going to be born in Israel, a few countries over? And these guys are astrologers. They're not Christians. They're not Jewish. They don't understand. How would they know? Easy. First thing we're going to do is go turn to Daniel. Daniel 9:24. Daniel 9:24. Come on, I'm turning and I already beat you. I'm going to back this up to 20, actually. Daniel's talking, he says, while I was speaking and praying, confessing my sin and the sin of my people Israel, and making requests to the Lord, my God, for his holy hill, while I was still in prayer, Gabriel, the man I had seen earlier in a vision, came to me in swift flight about the time of the evening sacrifice. He instructed me and said to me, Daniel, I have now come to give you insight and understanding. As soon as you began to pray, an answer was given, which I have come to tell you, for you are highly esteemed. Therefore consider the message and understand the vision. 70 weeks are decreed for your people and your holy city to finish. Man, I'm messing that one all up. 70 weeks are decreed for your people and your holy city to finish transgression, to put an end to sin, to atone for wickedness, to bring everlasting righteousness, to seal up vision and prophecy, and to anoint the most holy. No one understand this. From the issuing of the decree to restore and rebuild Jerusalem until the anointed one, the ruler, comes, there will be 70 weeks. There'll be 7 weeks and 62 weeks. It will be rebuilt with streets and a trench, but it will be built in times of trouble. After the 62 weeks, an anointed one will be cut off and will have nothing. The people of the ruler who will come to destroy the city and the sanctuary to the end will come like a flood. War will continue until the end, and desolations have been decreed. He will confirm his covenant with many He will confirm a covenant. He will put it into sacrifice and offering, and on a wing of the temple he will set an abomination that causes desolation until the end is decreed, is poured out on him. He was talking about Christ. The guy's going to come, and the weeks, I was reading it, but I didn't memorize how all these weeks came into play. All right? There will be so many weeks that Christ will be on the earth and he will be ministering. I'm not sure if it was his ministry or it was the last few days of his last few weeks of his life. But it said he will be cut off, but not from himself. In the King James Version, it says in the middle of the 7th week, or middle of the 7th, he will be cut off, but not from himself. He's going to be sacrificed. He will put an end to sacrifice through his sacrifice. The Persians knew this, because at this time Daniel was second in command of Persia. He was a eunuch that was in charge of everything. And he talked about this. But Daniel also taught to the wise men. He also taught the history of Jerusalem, the history of his Jewish people. And they remembered something back in Numbers. This is Numbers 24. This is going to be easy. This is right at the front of the book. Numbers 24. Tell you a little background on this one. Balaam was a prophet, an oracle. And this king wanted to come and curse Israel, who was going through his territory. Now remember, Israel was, well, how do you say this gently? They were kicking backside and taking names as they were walking through. Anybody come up against them, they were crushing them. So this king, he says, I want Balaam to come over here and curse them. Balaam was on his way over. Out comes the angel with the sword. Balaam's donkey turns to the side. He beats on him a little bit. And the angel moves in further. And Balaam's donkey moves over to the side of the road and crushes his leg into the rock. And Balaam beats on him a little harder. The angel stands right in front of him. And Balaam the donkey just laid down. Boy, he went to whooping on him. That donkey looked up and said, why is it? No, haven't I carried you here and there? Haven't I been your servant for all this time? And why is it that you have beaten me these 3 times? And then God opened the eyes of Balaam and he saw the angel. And Balaam realized that he didn't need to be cursing Israel. He didn't need to go and talk bad about God's people. So he went and blessed Israel 3 times. And on the 3rd one, this is chapter 24, Numbers. 3rd time, and I'm going to be in verse 17. As he was blessing them, and his king was kind of mad at him. He said, I see him, but not now. I behold him, but not near. A star will come out of Jacob. A scepter will rise out of Israel. He will crush the foreheads of Moab, the skulls of all the sons of Sheaf. Edom will be conquered. Seir, his enemy, will be conquered. But Israel will grow strong. A ruler will come out of Jacob and destroy the survivors of the city. A star will rise out of Jacob. They remember the star. They remember the king that was supposed to be born. These are just 2 of the prophecies that I've brought up today. There was a bunch of them. But these are the 2 that I could see that they could look at this and go, hey, you know what, this star, it's come up at the right time. We're going to go check this out. So they went and they seen the child, and they gave him gifts of frankincense, gold, and myrrh. And as he grows, and this is in John 8:12. As he grows, he becomes a man and he starts on his ministry. And the Pharisees are not liking him. The Pharisees want to find a way that they can arrest him. So they bring a woman who was caught in adultery. Gotta find my place here. Okay. They found a woman who was caught in adultery. And they brought her to her and said, this woman should be stoned because she was caught. So what did Jesus do? He got down and he wrote in the dirt. Never said a word to him, he just wrote in the dirt. And he stood up and he held out a rock and he said, whoever among you has no sin in his life, cast the first stone. The Bible says that they left, from the oldest to the youngest, they all left. And then the Pharisees, they were pretty mad at him. Well, he told the woman, he said, where's your accusers? She said, I have none. He said, neither do I accuse you. He said, go your way and leave your life of sin. And in verse 12, when Jesus again started to speak to the people, he said, I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never be in darkness, but I will have the light of life. Jesus said, I am the light of the world. I'm coming around to it now. Think about this. A child was born. A child who was foretold was born. Wise men from Persia, astrologers, came to visit him and brought him expensive gifts. He grew up a perfect life. And as Daniel had prophesied, he was cut off. He was crucified, but not from himself. But not for himself. He did it for the world. And while he was walking the earth, he said, not once, but he said many times, I am the light of the world. Let me ask you a question. What better way If you were the omnipotent ruler of the world, the one who created everything, and you wanted to redeem your creation, what better way to announce the light of the world than from a celestial light from heaven? A light, a star, that everyone could see. The Bible only talks about 3. And some people say that the Magi were the only 3 people in the world that saw it. I can't say that. I don't know. I wasn't there. But you think about it. All of Herod's astrologers, all of his wise folks, all of his priests, none of them saw it, or none of them made mention of it. On the way, PJ said, well, yeah, they were all in his pocket. What if they said, hey, there's a king over here born? Cuts their head off. But all these people, none of them saw it. But 3 men. And they came to worship him. A light that moved east to west, and then turned and moved south and stood over where a child was living. If you can't see this, and in this age of jolly elves, and I don't know how people can believe in all these myths and legends and not see what's in front of them. As angels told the shepherds in the field, to this day a child is born. And they'll call his name Emmanuel. Think about this. PJ is addicted to the Hallmark Channel this time of year. And all of these movies, I honestly have not once heard them talk about the Christmas story. I have not heard them talk about Christ. I think the closest to it was one person said a prayer that had absolutely, didn't mention God or anything, just said a prayer and thanking you for the magic of Christmas. And one of them, a lady said, well, when we were kids, we used to go to midnight mass. That's it. The magic of Christmas. The magic of Christmas was a star that changed course in a day. The magic of Christmas was a child who was born of a virgin, who grew to be the sacrifice to end all sacrifices. The magic of Christmas is a God that loved us so much that He sent His only Son, that whoever believes in Him will not perish but have everlasting life. The magic of Christmas. It is not some dude running around with flying reindeer. I'm sorry. It is a child who was born, who lived a perfect life, who died on the cross, and redeemed us all. What better way to announce that child than with a star from heaven? By the way, a star that was never seen before and has never been seen again.